now, I'm going to make a very basic project in SFML. And why don't I get rid of that? Get rid of my draw here. And first thing I'll do is actually make a circle shape that follows my mouse. So I'll call it, I don't know, aim. I'm going to make a circle shape object called aim. And that's just going to follow my mouse around. So I want to give it a aim dot, I want to give it a, obviously I need to give it a radius, set radius. Maybe something like 10 pixels or something. It'll just be a little dot on the screen. And the other thing I always like to do with circles is set their origin to the radius times the radius. Okay, turn that off, buddy.
Right, the thing's tweaking. There you go.
Okay, and then I'm going to draw that circle shape down here. Window dot draw aim. Okay, so get that. See if it'll draw a little circle. I'll probably draw it right at the top corner of my screen because I never gave it a position. So by default, it should probably be 0, 0. No input files. That's a new one. How weird is that? That is weird. Where's my build log? Hold on, I'm going to pause. Okay, so there we go. I have my draw command. It should draw a little black circle on the top of the screen, and it does right up there. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to get that to follow my mouse. How do I do that? Should I do that outside of the while loop where my game is running? Or should I do that inside the while loop somewhere where my game is running? I think I would like to do it inside the game loop. So all I need to do is set a position to this, aim.setPosition. But I want it to set it to my mouse's position. So aim.setPosition. I'm looking for an X value. Here's how you find the mouse's position, by the way. You go mouse : get position. Boom. Now, mouse : get position, I need its X point there. And then for the Y value, to set the position, I need mouse : get position dot Y. Zoom that out a little bit. So now 60 times a second, I'm trying to set the position of my circle to the mouse position. See what happens. I think it might be a little bit off here. We're going to have to check that out. Hold on. There it is, but it is off. Okay. The reason for that is right now, mouse : get position
It's filming.
is based on the actual monitor. I need it to be based on the window that I'm in. Okay. So what you have to do is you have to put the word window inside of the brackets of this mouse position, and then it will work. Now that line's getting pretty long. I might skip it down one here. There we go. Run that. Now you can see the dot always follows the cursor. Okay? Okay, K-Jot, you got to get out of here, man. We're working. Hmm? Okay, one thing I don't like is that the cursor is still there. So I'm going to erase that cursor. How do I do that? I do it up in here somewhere. I go like this, comma. See how it's highlighting this word style? I'm just going to write style. You could look this up on their website. No, you know what you have to do? Sorry, you have to go window dot, and I think there should be a command to turn off the cursor. Window dot, let's see. Set mouse cursor visible. There we go. So it looks like it wants true or false in there, so I'm just going to put the word false. Now I don't have a cursor. Now I have a mouse. Now I have my mouse wheel. There's my game there. It's starting to become a game. My video. Okay, so that works. We got this little cursor that should follow around our mouse, right? Now what I want to do is make a vector that will hold a whole bunch of rectangle shapes and have them just start on the left edge of the screen and slowly move to the right. So I'm going to use the word vector here. Just going to make rectangle shapes. And I'll call them targets, for instance. Targets, okay? Right now there'll be none in that list. The other thing I want to do is maybe make a clock so that I can, I'll just call it clock 1, I guess. So that maybe every 1 second or something I can have that target appear on the screen. So this clock, when I make this clock variable, it's going to start at a time of 0 seconds. And then in here I can say if clock, let me just spell that, right? Clock, there we go, dot, this is from the lab, get elapsed time dot as seconds. Notice how everything is auto typing for me. It even tells me what type of variable this is. Look, it's a float, okay? That's great news for me because I want to check if it's bigger than 1 second, then I want to push back something onto my targets. I want to make my targets have a rectangle shape in it. So I'll go targets dot push back, if you remember that from vectors, rectangle shape. And rectangle shape actually needs these 2 empty brackets as well. We'll learn why another day. Okay, so now I have a rectangle shape. Watch this. If I see out the size of my rectangles, so if I see out targets.size, I should see this thing increase every second. It should go up by 1 in size. So I'm actually adding targets to my list. I haven't drawn them. I haven't moved them around the screen. Whoa! You know what I forgot to do? So right now I have 200 in my list. I forgot to restart my clock after, so that it goes back down to 0. Cool. Okay, so if I'd ever get over 1 second on my clock, add a rectangle and restart the clock back to 0. So now every 1 second I should have a new target in my list. There's 1 target in my list, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next thing I want to do is draw them and start getting them to move across the screen. But they are there. I just haven't given them a size yet, so I'm just going to go targets dot back, grab the one I just made, and give it a size, set size. I could give it color and everything. This one looks like it needs a vector 2f variable. Vector 2f. I might go ahead and change that in the SFML code later, so that you can actually just give it an x and a y value. But I'll make these 50 by 50. They're just basic little targets. Okay. I might as well start them all at the edge of the screen. Targets dot back dot set position. I'm just letting everything auto type. This one will take an x and a y, so I want to start it off the screen, maybe like minus 50 in the x direction. Maybe like halfway down the screen. 300 is fine. Okay. So now every time I add one, it will now have a size and a position. That's pretty much all I need for now. Because now I got to draw them all. So somewhere between my clear and my display, I have to draw all the targets that exist in my list. Okay. So I actually have to make a for loop to do that, because if there's 20, I need to draw 20. If there's 1, I need to draw 1. If there's 0, I need to draw 0. I have to variably draw them. So the for loop will be a good way to do that. Zoom that in. I'm going to go from 0 to targets.size. Targets.size. And I'm going to go I++. So now this for loop, I'm just going to go window.draw targets I. So if there's 20, it will draw 20. 1, it will draw 1. If there's 1,000, it will draw 1,000. The other thing is I'm going to do is I'm going to move them as well. So I'm going to go targets, because now I have a loop that's doing something to all of the ones in the list. I might as well move them all as well after I draw them. So maybe I'll move them all how about 10 pixels this frame. So this should now just draw them across the screen every 1 second, hopefully. There we go. 1, 2, 3. Pop, 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 pop. You can see they're not erasing. Okay. You can also see that when I hit them, I don't. Nothing really happens yet, right? Probably a good idea to erase them once they're off the screen. So I can make a little if statement to make sure if they're ever off the screen, erase them. The other thing I should probably do is see if my mouse is ever hitting one. Okay. Let's make a little bit of code for that. Maybe leave myself a little message to say check if check for deletes. Check for deletes. Put something like that in there. Okay. If I want to check every single target I have, all of my code will have to be in a for loop now. The same exact for loop I have here. If I have 100 of them, I need to check all 100 to see if the mouse is touching the thing and the mouse button is pressed. That's what we really want to do right now. We want to erase it if the mouse button is being pressed down and it's touching the target. So let's do that. Let's go if targets I. Here's a way to check really basic collisions. So I'm going through all my targets, and there's this command in here called get global bounds. You can see that. Okay. And get global bounds has more commands. I guess you could say intersects. You could also say contains. I really want to just know if it contains my mouse point. So could I give it my mouse point? It's looking for a vector 2. I might just say intersects. So I'm going to go get global bounds dot intersects, and then in the brackets it's looking for another global bounds. It's just wanting to know if those two shapes are intersecting each other. So in here I'll give it the global bounds of my aim, my circle shape, and then it will tell me if they are. So I'll go aim dot get global bounds. Global bounds. That will tell me if they're hitting, if they're overlapping each other. Let me just close that bracket. Close that bracket. Okay. The code's getting a little bit big here, so I'm going to stretch it out some. So if one of my targets, if its global bounds intersects the global bounds of the circle that is my, then I'm just going to put cout hit for now, just to see if it works. Hit. I should probably get rid of my cout that prints all the little numbers out. Okay. There, it's saying hit because it knows it's overlapping the thing. Okay. Okay. So why don't I take this if statement, jump it down a line, and make sure the mouse is also pressed. And also mouse colon is button pressed. It's kind of like is keyboard pressed. And then it's looking for the button, mouse colon left. Again, this will all be on the video so you can check it out after. But now it will only run if they're intersecting each other and the mouse button is pressed. Now it will say the word hit. So now I have a way to tell if they're hitting. See that? Small problem is that it's registering more than one hit because my mouse could be pressed down for a couple of frames while the thing hits it. So I could, instead of just saying hit, I could also erase the thing. I could go targets dot erase. It would be nice to just press the number I, because if the 20th target got hit, it would erase that. But that's not how erase works. You actually have to write targets dot begin plus I for some unknown reason. Now it will erase them. See that? It erases it now. I do have one small issue where if I hold my mouse button down and just cross over it, it erases it. So we'll work that out at another time. And maybe do not a mouse button press, but a mouse release instead. But it is stopping them and it is erasing them if I hit it. So that could be the start of a really cool assignment for a project. You want to... I screwed up already, but that's all we'll talk about for today.